Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Pam Torrey. I am Marketing Manager at Engage, and I will be here to facilitate your experience on this webinar today. First of all, if you have any questions during the course of the webinar, please feel free to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your Zoom window. If you run your mouse over the Zoom screen, it should pop up in the lower right-hand corner. Also, feel free to use the chat feature if you have any comments or if you have any technical issues, and we'll go ahead and get those resolved for you. We will be recording today's webinar and sending it out afterwards. So if you have any other colleagues at your company or any other friends in the industry you'd like to share with, that link will be available for you. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and get started today. I quickly just want to introduce the parties that are here, and then we'll go ahead and launch a poll. So we have Brock Crabtree here from Think Unlimited. We have Mike Lyons here from Longe Home Products, Charlie Goldberg from Engage, and then Steve Desar is here as well from Think Unlimited. So I'm going to go ahead and launch a quick poll. Today's entire webinar is about using technology to better push your business into the future, obviously increase revenue, increase efficiency, and just make your business run better for you as an owner, as a sales leader. And one of the questions we have for you is, what kind of technology are you currently using for your sales and marketing teams today? So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. It's a multi-select. You can select as many of the options as you are using. And we're going to go ahead and get that launched. We're really interested in finding out what you guys are currently doing today that's helping you to run your business with your sales and marketing teams. So we'll give another 30 seconds or so with this open today. Again, as a reminder, please use that Q&A feature if you have any questions during this webinar. All right, give it another 10 or so seconds. Looking great. It looks like everybody's got a CRM in place. That's wonderful to hear. A lot of you are using an email client, you're using presentation software. We've got a couple folks using lead scoring software and in-home sales. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. Thank you guys for giving us your information. So as you can see here, we've got everybody using a CRM. We've got a decent number using email and presentation software. Great. Thank you so much for that. Now I am going to go ahead and toss it over to our panelists today.
Thanks, Pam. And hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. What we're going to be discussing today is how to modernize the technology software and the solutions that you're providing for your team. And that's not only going to help your business grow, it's going to help you with profitability. It's going to help your sales reps and your customers really come to life in how you interact with them so that you guys can continue to grow and win. What we'll be focusing on are the solutions today, from when you get a lead, how you assign those leads, and how you present them to really ensure that your setup is as successful as possible. And I have some guests here joining today that are going to talk about how these solutions come into place and how they've helped their team. What we'll be focusing on today is, obviously, I want to introduce everybody here on the call, but focusing on where Longe Home Products came from, what they've implemented, and how they're focusing on continuing to be innovative in their space and how they're continuing to win business. We'll talk about the results that you guys can expect to see, what's working, what's not. And obviously, at the end, we'd like to offer everybody who's taking some time out today an exclusive offer on the solutions provided that are going to help your team continue to modernize and add some consistency across your business. So hi, everybody. I'm Charlie. I'm the senior sales lead here at Engage. Brock, why don't you say hi to everybody as well?
Hello, I'm Brock Crabtree, VP of Sales and Business Development for Think Unlimited.
Brock, thanks for taking the time out today. Really looking forward to sharing what you guys are doing for Longe Home Products and hearing the feedback from Michael as well. Before we dive in, I'd just like to introduce everybody on the call today a little bit about Engage and a little bit about Think Unlimited and how we can help your business before we dive into our featured guest, Mike at Longe Home Products. For those that haven't heard about Engage, we're a presentation platform that helps you guys really deliver professional, consistent, on-brand messaging across your sales force. Not only is this going to help you modernize what you guys are doing, if you're doing pitch books, maybe a PowerPoint or no presentation at all, but really thinking about how you deliver more consistency in the home to create more profitable sales and more consistent close rates. Once you have the opportunity to think about what the next phase of your presentations can look like, how do you think about consistency in the home, and how do you organize that team to ensure that they are the top performing sales team you know they can be? So with Engage, we not only give you the opportunity to deploy these materials out to the people that need it, ensure that they're always up to date, but give you analytics to ensure that there's some consistency in the home. And we'll talk about a little bit about how you can leverage those analytics, but it's really ensuring that the sales process that you put your time and effort and training into, and how you can implement those results across your team so you guys can continue to grow your business. I'd like to pass it over to Brock to introduce Think Unlimited.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We're excited to bring this level of technology to our industry, which is being utilized in many others today. The days of the same generalized template on every gross lead saying something along the lines of thanks for finding us on Home Advisor, give us a call today, and/or more of a round robin lead assignment are out. What we've brought and what we do is provide a white glove service and utilize different attributes of consumers to make and help businesses make more data-driven decisions. So what we're essentially looking at here is we create, develop, and deploy dynamic content automated campaigns on top of funnel leads. We have a enrichment process where we utilize about 150 data points and then use those attributes to make actionable decisions. So as you can see here, you have more of a budget-minded consumer versus Amy on the right that's more of aspirational. So the content that's delivered to different individuals, just like if you get an email or an SMS, some will react, some won't, and that is directly affected on what that content is, as well as what the offer is. So by being able to utilize the enrichment and place messaging that's going to be relatable to consumers to bring them into your funnel is just two different ways of communication, allowing them to come into your funnel by placing that offer in front of them, allowing them to redeem a specific offer by either calling you directly or filling out a form with a requested day and time via landing page from our campaigns. So you'll see the two different examples of what an email template would look like that we create. And then we also create the landing pages, the full automation process. What we've done is develop an automation process that deploys 5 emails and 5 SMSs with the relative content based on the persona of the individual over the 2-week period. So ultimately, helping increase your schedule rate on those top of funnel leads, as well as reduce the dependency on outbound dials needed to turn that into a scheduled lead.
Thanks, Brock. Now I'd like to introduce our guest, Mike from Longe Home Products. Mike, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, guys. I think it's first of all, thank you everyone for joining. It's also important to say before we get started that our owner John DePaula, he always told me 8 years ago when I started here that the most important people next to your customers are your vendors, and it's not just vendors, they're partners. So whether it's your manufacturer or your presentation software. Those are the most, the people that you can't make it happen without them. So in this space, in this industry, we can't do it without having somebody make the shingles, having somebody make the windows, having somebody do all the back end of everything that we use to be successful. So thank you to both of you guys and your teams. And thanks for everybody for jumping on and listening to us yap for the next couple minutes.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Mike. It's always great to have a customer here and a partner. We're always looking to educate people in the industry and talk about the success that we've seen. So appreciate you taking the time out today. For those who may not know about you, Mike, and the business Longe Home Products, can you just give us a little background on your role in Longe Home Products for everybody?
Yeah, I think it's definitely more important about the company than me. So the Longe name's been in business since 1945. Started as a fence company, and give the abridged version that we don't give to the customers. If anyone would like to hear it, give me a call. But in 1994, we spun off to do windows. So the youngest daughter of her grandfather started the company, and Jill spun off with her husband John to start selling windows. And now, 27 years later, we've added on to windows and do roofing, siding, doors, pretty much anything exterior. And in the last couple of years, have added bathrooms to the repertoire. So we're pretty excited. It's been an awesome growth. As far as me, I've been here almost 8.5 years now. I started as a sales rep, then moved to the corporate sales trainer, and first of the year moved into the corporate trainer position. So the growth, as most of you know, I mean, our industry has, I think some of us might have survivor's guilt, but during the pandemic, we've kind of excelled through this through this time. People are home looking at what they need to have done, and our businesses have kind of catapulted into a different stratosphere. So it's been fun. And we were talking before this, Charlie and Brock and Pam and I, about the amount of users I had to add to Engage by July or August. And I mean, it's crazy. It's been a fun ride.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear the success, and I'm really looking forward to sharing the things that you guys have put into place to get you to the point of where you are and the growth that you guys are expecting to see in the near future. But I want to look back a little bit, before you see where you guys are today, where you guys were thinking about investing back in the business, and what were some of the problems that you guys were experiencing. And so why don't we focus a little bit first on the content that you equipped your sales reps with, what you were doing over the last couple of years, and, what led you to make that transition?
Well, Charlie, I mean, in the beginning, when I first started running leads, we were doing the whole, flip book. Like, it was important to get new plastic sheets to put your printouts in. And replace your binders to make them not look like they've been used so much. Then we moved into, maybe we should do a keynote presentation. That's going to include iPads, and that scares most owners, like the investment and all that. Like, is that really going to help us? That helped us tremendously when we finally made that jump. Then it was, no knock on Keynote or PowerPoint, but it looks like a mid-2000s kind of software. There's not a lot you can do with it. You need someone that really is creative, which I'm not that creative, a little bit. But then I saw what was it, probably like 2 years ago, Charlie, you gave me a demo, and I was like, man, this is pretty cool. So I had to do a little bit of selling, which I don't have a problem with, but I had to, show the, hey, look at this, we could do this and this and this, and we can cut it down. think the most important thing is, in our day and age right now, um, you look at TikTok and you look at Instagram, and Facebook is kind of the most popular user on Facebook is, 60 plus. Why is that? They take a little more time, right? The younger user is flipping through and flipping through and flipping through. So how can we take a 50 some slide presentation and then shrink it down and make it more, pardon the pun, but engaging, with all the buttons and features and the aesthetically pleasing part of it. So that was something that was, selling for me, but ultimately the reps time is important. The customer's time is important. And how can we make that build that value? Because that's ultimately what we're doing. Because, at the end of a presentation, we're going to ask for thousands and thousands of dollars, and it needs to be a wow factor. So that's what, Engage has done for us. As far as Think, when emotion gets into things, we have 12 principles that we live by here. And one of them is, we use data to set us free from speculation, needless anxiety, and guessing. And when you have a sales manager, and however anybody issues leads, you have a sales manager that's emotionally invested into certain reps. They've been with them for a while, or her, and I want to send them here. Well, maybe that's not the right lead to send that person on, but you can't get out of your head. So then you look at Think, and it's like, if you just follow what's going on in there, and it's telling you the algorithm that this person needs to go here, just click it and move on to the next one. It might not make them all happy that night because they have to drive 30 extra miles and they don't like driving that far. But then when they sell it, all of a sudden those 30 miles go bye-bye. So, it's when you have decisions based upon data, it sets you free from guessing, instead of making emotional decisions, which usually get most people in trouble.
What were some of the issues, that you guys were running into, before you guys decided to start to look for some solutions to improve that process?
The lead process or the presentation process?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about everything. If you want to speak to, you and I had previously mentioned just, when you did decide to transition from paper to digital, some of the roadblocks that you were running into that made you think, okay, what's out there? How can I add some efficiency and really help my rep stand out in the home?
Well, the one thing is, I mean, we cover a 100-mile radius of Washington, D.C. So, I know when I use a lot of my personal experience being on the road, and I live about 50 miles away from the office. So if I had a lead, 30 miles east of my house, which would make it 80 from the office, and people move forward, I had to have that contract in within 24 hours. And the next day, maybe I had a lead that was in the same place, but I had to drive 50 miles just to hand somebody a piece of paper and then go another 80 miles to just run a lead. That was very daunting on my, my quality of life. So I wanted to change that. So that's why we moved to paperless. As far as the presentation is concerned, especially when I got into it, and in Maryland, Virginia, DC, we're up in New England as well. You need to get new licenses, every year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on what jurisdiction you're in. You add that to the presentation to go through, and you have to email it out to the rep, make sure the rep deletes the old one, uploads the new one. And it's a lot of, anyone who's on this call knows that, I mean, we love our reps, but sometimes that's not on the top of their list of things to do. And they're showing somebody a license from 2017 and we're in 2021, even though they've gotten 4 updates. And as far as the leads are concerned, we were issuing leads 3 times a day. We were doing same day leads, and the quality of life for reps. I mean, you don't know where you're going. It's noon and you don't know where you're going at 2. You get your lead, you're sitting in a parking lot somewhere. And then you don't know where you're going on your 6 o'clock. Now we issue all our leads the night before. and just go through Think and click, 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 and boom, they're issued out. And it also gives the sales managers more of a quality of life. They can spend time with their loved ones at night and run through things quicker rather than sitting there and printing out a lead sheet and documenting where they're going to send people and texting it out to them or emailing it to them, so they can move on with their night a little bit, sooner than we have in the past.
Yeah. So it seems like there was an opportunity to find some efficiencies from how the leads were being generated and assigned, and then how that content was getting into the hands of your reps to really make that process as smooth as possible, but also help you guys stand out from what person at your organization they're talking to and what content's being shown, and really standing out from the competition at every point in that process, and helping you guys modernize and continue to succeed. A lot of the customers that I have an opportunity to speak with, and you'd even mentioned it, some people had amazing years, and what's been working over the last 10 years, 5 years, continues to work. It seems like you guys continue to think about investing in the business and the next phase of that. I'm curious, is that a mentality that you guys have, and how's that helping your business? And do you continue to look for ways to innovate?
It absolutely is. When when you're never satisfied, the mentality, the culture that we have is, we're never going to be great. We always strive to be, but we're never going to be great. And when I talk to other companies, and this is no knock on anyone else, but I ask them like, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing here? And they're like, no. We want to know what you guys are doing. And it's like, and I don't want to sound conceited either, but it's like, that's just the way that, and it comes from the top down. That's the way that John is, and our president, Dave Normandin, that's the way they are, that we could always do better. We could always had one more sale. We could have always had 10 more leads set. So we're never satisfied. And sometimes mentally that's a little draining, but if you welcome it and you have the right people, that buy in to the process. And when I say buy-in, we have a saying here around the office: we never want anyone to buy in anything, because that means you're doing it for somebody else. We want you to believe in it. So belief is for yourself. It's totally different than buy-in. But making that change, like the Long name, we owe it to Mr. Long, who started the company, to not have anyone out there that's doing something that's more impressive than what we're doing. And that's really what it all stems from. So, when you take Think, now that's more behind the scenes, but the customer sees Engage, the customer sees Leap, the customer sees Hover. All of these things, it's a wow factor, but it's also an efficiency factor for us. There's none of these things we're just doing for the wow factor. Hover makes it a more accurate measurement, less mistakes. Leap is easier to put roadblocks up for reps not to make mistakes, and then the back end does the wrong thing just because they're following the contract, and then the customer's upset. And Engage is like, wow, I've never seen something like this. It's not like PowerPoint and Keynote. So when you compare all that together, and then you can put the right rep on the right lead, with those four things, it's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah, I'd love to now kind of help everybody understand, exactly what you're doing today and the things that you guys have seen in the organization that have helped you get to where you are today, and, help you guys project the growth that you guys are looking for over the next year. So your sales team is out there. They log into Engage. They have access to your presentations. They used to use your Keynote. What was that experience like in moving toward Engage and getting everybody started there and reducing that content?
Are you talking on the sales rep side? Because they love change. Any sales rep loves change. No, we had to, it was a slow growth. It takes a lot of thought to put into building a presentation. once you get past learning how to, use the program. But it was quick when they saw it. It was like,
Yeah.
wow, I
Yeah.
definitely want to use this.
And
So that was easy.
right. And from your team's perspective, I know you had mentioned that you even had a couple reps that if you didn't airdrop the presentation to you. Some people were presenting some outdated information. So moving to a system like this, now all of your reps across all your markets are definitely running a bit more consistency in terms of the content they're creating. And as a result, the experience that they're having when they're introduced to who you guys are and that rep in the home.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it goes to, we want to be giving the customer the most recent information that we have in there. I mean, we don't put any information into our presentations that we don't want the customer to see. That's the whole point of it. So when we take the time to put it in there, and especially when we have some older reps that aren't that savvy with IT and the iPad and all that, and they're like, Mike, I need to come by the office so you can airdrop this to me because I can't figure out how to download it from the email. And I get it. Okay, no problem. But we're not being efficient at that point. So when I can just change something and hit update and boom, it's out there. I mean, it's easier for me. It's easier for them. And ultimately, our customers sign our paychecks. So that's who we want the information out to. And when we can make that happen and make it happen literally by hitting a button, and then no matter whether they're in New England or they're in Maryland, if we open another office, it doesn't matter. It's across the board and everybody has the same stuff. So
Yeah.
It's good.
And so part of the idea of maintaining and looking for technology providers and modernizing your own sales team, really in the end, you're saying helps your end customers. So it's about that experience, what they're seeing, the message that they're getting, and you have a little bit, you could sleep better at night just knowing that you guys are operating more efficiently and know that every time somebody interacts with the Long Home Products representative, they're getting the best experience possible in the home, modernized presentations, content that's up to date, and having that content ready to go. I want to talk about something you mentioned earlier, focusing on becoming data driven. One of your values is thinking about data and how you implement that into your business more. How do you guys are you using data around the presentations, and how does that help you guys and your sales managers kind of on an ongoing basis continue to exceed and help your reps out?
Well, the analytics part of it, I mean, it was important for, us to tell the reps in the beginning, or at least for me to tell them, like, guys, I can tell exactly what slide you're on and spending time on. And if you've opened the presentation, what time and all that, it's all time stamped. But I'm not telling you that because we're going to be sitting here micromanaging you and looking at everything. But if you're struggling, it's hard when you have a company that's not in our industry, that has everyone in the office and you can sit there and monitor them, that makes management a little bit easier. But when you have, 50 sales reps that are out running all over the place and one of them struggling, what are they saying? I can't be with 50 people at one time. So what are they spending time on? One, it's important to have a system, and we do have a sales methodology system, but it's also important when I ask them questions like, well, what are you getting? What are the objections you're getting? What are the excuses you're getting? And they say, well, this. Okay, well, let me look at this. Well, you're only spending 15 seconds on, this slide that is designed to overcome that objection or excuse. So why don't we spend more time going through that? And they're like, wow, I didn't realize I was doing that. They're not doing it on purpose. So that's been something, and Charlie, I'm sure you'll touch on it. The analytics of Engage and the back end of it, it has been, pretty strong for us.
Yeah. So, when I think about it, the core thing is, how do I modernize the way I'm presenting my business and the messaging that's getting to our customers? And then once you've developed that process and you guys have that experience, ensuring there's some consistency no matter who you're talking to at that point. And what I found is right in line with what you're talking about. It's not necessarily to micromanage, but sometimes people, without knowing it, may be skipping over things, or they're running into the same objection over and over again. And you guys are working on content to handle those objections. So being able to just go in without having to do ride-alongs all the time, and really enabling that rep to not only utilize that tool, but how to best utilize that tool. And so, equipping you, sales managers, the owners, with the capability to then go in and say, okay, here's where this time is being spent. If you're running into these problems in the home, let's try to extend the amount of time that you're talking about these particular issues, or here's how to use that. And so I think about it, equipping your team with that content that's going to not only give them confidence, but then being able to, sit down as a trainer and say, don't worry, this is where, look, without even knowing it, here's how we can help you. So
yeah, I mean, if you think about it, if I take, if I run, we run 17 appointment slots a week. If I were to do that and run with, and at a demo rate of X, I know we won't get into the numbers, but industry average anywhere 60 to 90%, right? So I run 17 leads a week with 17 different reps. I'm not going to be able to help every one of them because we're not going to demo at 100% unless we, if that were the case, I'd play Powerball that week. But what does that do and take one of our managers or myself out of the office, and we could affect so many other people? That's only 35% of our sales force. So, and that's 1 week, and then all the other stuff's not getting done. So when you have the ability to kind of remotely manage, then you can operate as efficiently as possible as a company, but you're still giving every customer the same opportunity.
Yeah. So thinking about, this is what's happening from training your reps, helping them succeed and continue to exceed your expectations and even their expectations of the sales they're looking for, and the way they're presenting to your customers. I'm excited to kind of talk about, what you guys are doing to even improve how you're getting into the home, who you're connecting with, and how you're connecting with them, and what Think Unlimited is doing for you guys. So Brock, I'm going to pass it over to you guys. Even before that in-home presentation happens, what are you guys doing with Mike, and how's that really enhancing the sale and the results that they're seeing out in the field?
So really both products. So we have the two products, which we're running for Long Home products. And both of the products, really revolve around utilizing technology and data to drive smarter business decisions. So with the persona campaigns, we do that on the front end. That's just a top of funnel lead where we have an automation sequence that goes out over the first 2 weeks, to get a lead scheduled. On the right hand side, the Think Lead Optimizer is essentially where it is predicting the value of a lead. And then subsequently, it's showing you which rep is going to be able to pull through that revenue. I think it all goes back to, I think you had told me this a week or two ago, Mike. You guys went to, I think it was IHR in Vegas, and you were looking for new technology. Because you were wanting to be more of a data-driven company, right? That was one of the 12 things that you guys live by. And when you told me, we went there, there wasn't really anything available, or anything that really was new in terms of technology that we hadn't heard about. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was IHR. So yeah, if you could touch on,
okay.
IRE. IHR is the AC convention. But yeah, if you could touch a little bit on that story, because I think a lot of people are in the same scenario, right? You go to a trade show, you're looking for what's new and how could I implement this, and how could I be more efficient in my business?
Yeah, I mean, so we were at the International Roofing Expo down in Dallas. This year it's in Vegas. That's where you're thinking of, Brock, and
Yeah.
maybe we'll go, maybe we won't, but who knows. Bottom line is we walked around. The most impressive stands or sections were the manufacturers, and it's like I got guys up on roofs installing shingles and installing windows and all that, and like, okay, all right, we I have very soft hands. I'm not installing anything, so that wasn't interesting to me. We have good installers. That's good to go, but how can we move into the next phase of this business and the IT? So we really walked around and only looked for IT solutions, and most of them were they were underwhelming. And how do you have IT solutions that are visually underwhelming at a trade show? That's mind-boggling, right? And then there were a couple where it was like, wow, man, they've really thought this through. They brought their A game, and those are the ones that we, or stopped at and say, I want a card, and talk to, and then move from there. And it was like, it's not that hard to be a standout and be impressive. You just have to put some effort into it. And obviously some of the shingle manufacturers put a hell of a lot of effort into it, having pretty much like mini houses in there and doing installs and, torch downs. I mean, they had propane in there and they're torching down product, commercial roofing onto stuff in the middle of the showroom. I mean, it was insane. And then the IT field was kind of lacking. But, when you walked around and you saw who we do business with, and that's probably a reason why we do business with you, especially you guys and a couple others, you're like, wow, your booth's pretty cool. And it was interactive, and it was just like, you've obviously taken the effort and obviously spent some money to, show off your product. So it was, those are very, very important to go to, because you're going to meet a lot of people and you're going to see, if they do that there, they're probably going to take care of us on the back end.
Right. Exactly. Do you want to walk us through just, what was your guys' process to assign leads, like a before and after, snippet, and then, what challenges did you face when implementing the Think Lead Optimizer within Long Home Products?
So our process before was probably about a year before we started partnering with you guys. We were moved over to no same days, right? So we were issuing the morning leads the night before, afternoon leads around 11:30, 12 o'clock, and evening leads 3:30, 4 o'clock. We moved away from that mainly for the quality of life of the reps, but it was all, based upon the sales manager's process, whatever process they had. And that varied between, all sales managers. Now it's gotten to the point where it's like, I think they're starting to realize, like, man, if I actually believe in this, it's going to better it. It might not in the beginning make the rep that happy because this rep complains about this or that, or this, I don't do well in this city. Like, we've all heard that, right? And I never saw anything in this city. Well, Think's telling me that you do. So you're going there. The demographic works out, all the stuff we're looking at on the screen works out. But the biggest challenge was getting them to believe in it. And I don't know if we're exactly there yet. It takes time. I don't want anyone to think that it's going to be like you turn it on, and Brock and I have talked about this. Steve and I have talked about it. It's hard to get people to believe, especially managers that have been doing it for a while, to say, hey, listen, we're going to take it all out of your hands. And all you have to do is click buttons and it's going to tell you where to send people. And they're like, well, and most sales managers were reps at one point. So they all have that somewhere in the back of their head still. So like, well, I didn't like running leads there, so I'm not going to send my buddy there or my top rep there because that's not going to work. But Think's telling you to send them there. So let's just try it. And then they're like, man, they sold for like 24 grand. That was the lift that it had, so it's all working out. And it has been a little bit of a slower process. But I think we're getting more and more belief in it. And obviously it's working better and better as time goes on. So.
Yeah, I think a great feature, for yourself as well is being able to, have the analytics, right? And seeing are my sales managers living up to the real expectation of what is the possibility of these leads, right? To pull revenue through. And before it was always a guessing game of how are we assigning versus historical value of leads and giving the right rep the right lead. That was never really data that was provided on the front end, other than if you just kind of guessed. So when you're able to again utilize data to make those decisions, and you can see full analysis on everything, it just really makes your business a lot more efficient and smarter. So at the end of the day, I always compare whether it's the drip campaign or it's the Think Lead Optimizer. I always like to compare it as, at the end of the day, you wouldn't buy leads from a source and simply not know your schedule rate, demo rate, close rate in return from that specific source. If you wouldn't be buying from that source if you couldn't see that level of information. So that's what I think that we're really being able to bring to this industry is that equivalent of information that you're receiving from every other part of the business, besides when you get to third base going to home, right?
Well, I mean, Brock, two points to what you just said. I mean, to piggyback off that, like I said before, we're never satisfied with where we are. The one cool thing about Think, and I've asked you guys this, 100 times or since last July, is your lift, the bar keeps moving. So if you have a 5% lift, that's great. But then 2 months later, like the bar starts coming up because it's using the historical data, and then you might only have a 2% lift. So then you got to get better, and so the algorithm just keeps getting better and better to learn the company. So the AI on it is just ridiculous. The second part of it is, what you talk about, taking the emotion out of it. If you take the emotion out of it, it makes everything just easier. It's less stressful, and more efficient. And again, when you use the data will set you free. You're not making emotional decisions. You're just using the data to set you free from all that speculation and the guessing and the anxiety of everything that's happening. So, all in all, it takes a little bit of time, especially because nobody likes change. But once it happens, and once you get that belief, this is pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Brock. Thank you, Michael. As a salesperson myself, I think about how powerful this can be. if you continue to give me leads that I'm expected to close at a higher close rate that's going to fit my persona, I think it's amazing that you guys now have the capability to do that. I think a lot of businesses out there haven't even thought about that, but it's so obvious when you think about it. People are going to connect with certain people better. They're going to be able to present certain products and services better based on the size of that job, and then giving them the opportunity to come into the home with really powerful modern content to close that deal. Just take that from the start when you get that lead down to the close of the sale as a personalized experience that really equips the rep with the best means possible to continue to win. So Michael, it's awesome to hear what you guys are doing. What I want to do now is just thank everybody for joining today. Because you had the opportunity to join us here live. Brock, can you tell us about the promotion that you guys are running for everybody on the call?
Yeah, so we don't require any kind of a long-term agreement. We're within we want to provide you value, and if we're not providing you value, then we don't deserve you as a customer. So we're going to do 50% off usage fees for the drip campaigns as the starter product for the first 30 days for anybody that would want to sign up from the webinar.
Awesome, Brock. And for everybody who's looking to modernize their presentation, thank you again for joining today. We're offering 2 free months to help you guys get started on your annual contract and think about how you guys can modernize and equip your sales reps with really powerful in-home sales presentations. Michael, I just want to thank you again for joining and especially educating everybody who had the opportunity to join and eventually will listen to this webinar just about the success you guys have had and the creativity that you are implementing in your business across how you're interacting with your leads down to what you're equipping your sales reps with.
Well, I thank you guys too. And if anybody on the call now or once you guys put this on demand, if anyone wants to contact me, it's mlyons@longehp.com. Please reach out to me, and I'll talk to you about whatever you'd like, and give you some info or help you out however I can.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, appreciate that. And just want to share how you can get in contact with Think Unlimited and Engage. Pam, I believe if anybody's interested, you can launch something right now for them, right?
Yep, going to throw up a poll real fast to be able to find out if anybody wants us to contact them. So feel free to just let us know if you'd like to be contacted. Again, thank you guys so much for being with us today. Thank you again to Brock and Mike. Thank you, Charlie. Have not thanked Charlie yet. Thank you so much for being here and for presenting today. Like we mentioned, this is going to be put on demand. So if you'd like to refer back to any of the content that we had here today, or if you'd like to share with other folks at your company or other colleagues in the industry, this will be available on demand. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this poll, and we will get you on out of here and on to the rest of your day.